Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Scott Luton, Greg White, and Kevin L. Jackson with you here on Supply Chain Buzz on Supply
Yeah.
Chain Now. Welcome
Happy
to
Monday.
today's
Happy
live
Monday.
stream. Kevin, happy Monday. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's been a good weekend, relatively speaking, and we've got a fresh new week that lies ahead of us here today. So, how are you doing, Kevin?
Oh, actually, it's pretty good, except it's kind of dreary up in Northern Virginia. I mean, the sun went away. It was in the 90s, and then like on Saturday, this torrential rainstorm came.
Oh,
Oh,
Oh, I'm back.
that's a quick storm.
that's better than what usually happens to Scott.
When I'm gone, I'm gone.
Gone.
So the weather is messing with the late summer schedule and stuff here, and I think we're going to get a little more rain this week.
Yeah, it's coming your way again, Kevin, after it probably hits us here in Atlanta. So with Fred coming ashore this morning at 4:46 or whatever it was.
So Greg, how are you doing?
Doing well.
Yeah.
I was really prepared this weekend and got a lot of stuff, like chore type stuff done that I've been putting off forever. So it feels like an accomplishment, right? Mowed the yard in anticipation of this big storm that was supposed to hit here at like 2:00 yesterday. That now looks like it's going to be 6:00 Tuesday morning. Something. I'm not sure. It's moving pretty slow.
We need to share your landscaping pictures with the community next go round. Greg, you texted me, as Vicky said, you're one of the coolest dudes ever cutting the grass. So hey, is Greg White ever?
I think she said I wasn't cool.
Maybe. Well, hey,
you're cool. You can come do my lawn anytime.
Hey, I wear gloves and safety glasses and everything, hat and 100 sunscreen. That's right.
So Kevin, you got some good news over the weekend because one of your previous books was picked up. Tell us more about what's going on.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I've written a few books, but one I'm really proud of is Architecting Cloud Computing Solutions. And it's really focused on how to use cloud computing to deliver and create brand new business models. And one of my favorite schools to live, West Point, they actually selected my book for a whole Naval Academy grads book for to be the text for one of their computer science courses. So I'm excited about that. I'm really happy.
Except that now you got to be nice to him, Kevin, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's all that, what they call it, co-opetition.
There you go. You can still sit on the blue side at the game, correct?
Thank you. Yeah, I believe so.
Well, now it's Army beat Navy at Cloud with Kevin L. Jackson. We'll see.
You went the wrong way there. I'm sorry. No.
Well, hey, congrats. Love that. And Greg, isn't it always cool to be rubbing elbows with the movers and shakers that have published just a few books?
Just a few books. Yeah, it's hard to even keep track of all the books. Hey, are all your books listed at your site? You have kevinljackson.com.
Yeah, kevinljackson.com. And yes.
Are they all listed there?
Most of them are. There's a couple I need to add to it, actually. But yeah. So
all right. So I feel better, Scott.
With me. I'm
sorry.
Yeah,
I feel better, Scott. How could we keep up if he can't? Right?
That's a good point. It's a good question.
Too many books. That's really impressive, Kevin. And congratulations.
Absolutely. Speaking of keeping up, we've got a ton of folks that are here with us on this Monday morning, the 16th of August, 2021. We're going to say hello to a few of those folks, including familiar faces and friends and new places. So stay tuned as we say hello to a few folks. I'm getting a little bit of an echo just behind, coming through my headset here. Hey, Murphy's Law is alive and well on these Monday mornings. I want to really quick, Greg and Kevin, we got to walk through some of the upcoming events we've got, opportunities for folks to increase their supply chain IQ, starting with our August 18th webinar with the folks at Quip. And Quip, if you have not known, if you haven't heard yet, they have built quite an army of raving fans. So learn more about their omni-channel evolution and journey. as Imran Patel will be joining us on August 18th at 12 noon. Sign up on the link in the show notes. Greg and Kevin, all three of us will be part of the broadcast team. Supply Chain Now will be the exclusive virtual provider of the digital version of Lars Cesari's annual event, the Supply Chain Insights Global Summit, September 7th through the 9th. You got to register, and there's a little bit of a hefty fee related to that, but you're going to be rubbing elbows and hearing from some of the leading voices across the world of global supply chain. Greg, give me one thing you're looking forward to there, and I'm going to come to Kevin next.
Let me give this. If your boss is disinclined to fund your visit to this, have him call me. I'll make the business case for you.
How about that? And Kevin, what's one thing you're looking forward to here?
Well, first of all, that sounds like a big time thing. I'm part of a broadcast team. Wow.
Right? How could that be big for you? You're a TV star and
well, I'm a broadcast team. This is great, man. and for Laura, she's like the queen of supply chain, right?
The true queen. That's right.
Boy, oh goodness, way she is the one and only, and she is one of the most trusted and knowledgeable voices in global business. So y'all come check out this great event that she has assembled, her and her team, September 7th through the 9th. You can learn more there at supplychaininsightsglobalsummit.com or a link in the show notes. And finally, hey, join us December 8th as we look to celebrate good news and wins and successes and triumphs across global business with a keen focus on supply chain and procurement awards. Hey, for this year's event, our charitable partner is Hope for Justice, which is on a noble mission to go out and eradicate slavery wherever it exists. So join us there. All nomination fees are getting donated to Hope for Justice, and we'd love to have you be part of this celebration of all good things across global business. SupplyChainProcurementAwards.com. Okay, so Kevin and Greg, we have got so much going on here today. We've snapped up 3 or 4 things that should be on folks' radar. And I think we need to, before we get into the news, we got to say hello to some folks, right? Gosh, what was I thinking, Greg?
Online here, it looks like.
Yeah, have we seen Gary yet? Because he should be really freaked out with 3 of us on the screen.
Right. Extra
we swapped
stories.
sides again, and we got Kevin with us, so hang in there, Gary.
Right.
We got you.
Hey, Kyle, good morning. We owe you a reply. Kyle reached out to us. So Kyle is out in the Portland part of the States here and doing some really good things in the industry. So Kyle, hope this finds you well, and we'll be back in touch this week. Tim Ingram from good old Tennessee. Kevin and Greg, do y'all think Tim is a Tennessee Vols fan?
I don't know. I used to live in Kentucky, so Tennessee, Atlanta is kind of the same thing.
Oh, wow. Man, don't say that to a bulldog. I don't know if he is, but I can tell you that my next door neighbor is. I have to see that creamsicle orange every Saturday during football season.
Oh, gosh.
Creamsicle orange. I love creamsicles.
Hey, we're going to talk about food. We're going to talk about food in a minute, but hey, Tim, let us know. Let us know if you're a Vol fan or not. But regardless, thanks for being here. We love your, especially your healthcare supply chain POV. Brad Reeves,
it's a great supply chain school. So, right, one can only hope he got.
That's right.
I wonder where he got his MBA from.
We shall find out. Brad Reeves is tuned in via LinkedIn from Michigan. Hello, Brad. Great to have you here. Richard Goon is tuned in via LinkedIn. Let us know where you're tuned in from. Richard, great to have you here. Let's see. Nasreen is tuned in on LinkedIn from Dubai. We're going to be catching up with our friends in Dubai Thursday morning, I think, Greg.
Yeah, that's right. 8 a.m. Sharp.
You'll
be sharp.
Place I was. If you go to Dubai, you go to the Burj, and you get in that elevator that goes to the top. Woo! Talk about scared. You're outside watching the world go away like you're in a rocket ship.
The tallest building in the world is
right
amongst the many innovations in Dubai. So, and greetings to Kim Winter if you're tuned in somewhere out where you are, Kim. Look forward to reconnecting. T Squared is back with us. from Baltimore, holding down the fort on YouTube. Hey, Kevin, that's up in your neck of the woods, right?
Yeah, I was just up in Baltimore last week. I'm sorry, but it's another show I'm doing, a docu-series, Funding Black Tech, and it's about venture capitalism and Black entrepreneurs. So we'll talk more about that later. But I was up in East Baltimore doing some filming on that last week.
need more of that.
I love that, Kevin. We want to learn a lot more about that. And T-Squared, thanks for joining us. Michael Hill, tuned in via LinkedIn from Dublin. Great to see you. Of course, Clay, Jada, Amanda, and Allie, all behind the scenes helping to make production happen. Appreciate that. Clay and I agree with you. Great to see some new faces here today. Richard is from Chicago. So, Richard, let us know what the weather is up in one of the wonderful world cities there. Peter Bollet, all night and all day, back with us here. Good Monday afternoon, he says to you all. Good to be plugged in again. Scott, loved your chat with Kim Winter. Just watched that this morning. Hey, and he's referring to Mark, our interview with Mark Ormrod on Veteran Voices. And just a little snippet that won't do it justice, but y'all check out. Mark's got an incredible story. He basically died on the battlefield and was resuscitated with a cutting edge medical procedure. And he's got a fascinating story, one of resilience and give forward in a very meaningful way. It's inspirational to see what he's up to now. So, Peter, I appreciate that. Greg, Daria Patel is in Atlanta now.
We got to do that lunch.
Yes,
or dinner,
we do.
Whatever.
Yes, absolutely. And then one final one. I know we can't get to everybody here today, but Mohib is with us via Wichita. And
Of
Mohib,
course.
don't go anywhere. We're going to be talking about Wichita here about halfway through the segment here today.
Oh, that's right.
All right. So Kevin and it looks like Clay, Amanda, and Jada, Kevin dropped the link to that project of his in the chat. So maybe we can drop that in the public chat as well. All right. So let's see here, Kevin. We and Greg up first here today. We're going to be chatting about 4 post-COVID supply chain sustainability trends to keep our eyes on. And I love, and folks, the theme today is going to be post-COVID. So I love the optimism. We're going to fight through and get to this other side. There's some good news there if you go looking for it. But Kevin, let's tell us more about these 4 things that we should be including on our radar here.
Well, a lot of people, when you think about COVID, bad times, locked up, masks, can't travel. But as a society, we really learned a lot about ourselves through this ordeal that we've gone through together. And one of the things in business is that we've really learned about the importance of supply chain transparency, climate risk, the justice, equality, diversity, and inclusion, and the importance of greenhouse gas reductions. Because supply chain transparency, right? Nobody talked about supply chain until COVID, and now everyone has a clear understanding of the importance of supply chain and climate risk and resilience. The impacts that we are experiencing from the pandemic are very similar to what we will experience with climate change and the need to be resilient. And the importance of diversity and inclusion. I mean, diverse and sustainable business practices promote innovation through new products, services, and solutions. And so you need diversity and inclusion in order to deal with all of these dramatic changes that we're seeing. And now that people really believe that we're going to go through this change, companies need to understand not just their tier 1 suppliers, but tier 2, tier 3, and trying to understand how these changes will affect their tier 2 and tier 3 suppliers. So some of the big boys are now demanding more information about how tier 2 and tier 3 suppliers are dealing with climate change. So this really creates a challenge for organizations because they have to think about reducing their impact on supply chains.
A lot of good stuff there, Kevin. Greg, coming to you next first. Where does your mind go when you hear this?
I think all of those things are really important. I mean, transparency is the key, right? And there are a lot of misdeeds in business that get passed through the supply chain, and I think we can, from the industry seat, can be a catalyst for moving those the right direction. And actually, we've been talking about this for a while, Scott. It was really surprising how prominent things like sustainability and anti-slavery and diversity and inclusion and all of those things became during this time. I think people had kind of a moment of focus when they didn't have so many things on their plate. They recognized how important all of those things are. And to the point, Kevin, you made, with all of those different viewpoints, I mean, anyone who's ever been in an executive suite, a big meeting, right, a board meeting, whatever it is, a room full of people, you recognize that every one of those unique points of view, every one of those unique approaches from their life creates additional value, right? It's terrible to have everyone in the room singing from the same hymnal or coming from the same place or looking the same way, right? Having gone to the same school, unless that school is the Naval Academy. But I mean, that's so powerful, right? I mean, we've seen it. I think subconsciously we've recognized the value of that. And now to recognize that there are more areas where we can include people and get yet better performance and results, then I think that's one of the key things that's come out of this.
I agree. Yeah. And I agree with your first thing you said. Supply chain transparency is key, because if you can see it, you can attack it. And I also believe what you and Kevin both are alluding to, where we have had that moment of clarity due to some of the downtime, some of the time to think because of the stoppage of other activities. So I want to share a couple of quick comments from our audience here today. First off, Tim confirms us. He does bleed orange and white, home of Hall of Famer Peyton Manning. So love that. We need to celebrate. Let's see here. Sonia is tuned in via LinkedIn from Jamaica, so I hope this finds you well, Sonia. Richard makes a couple of great points. Without trucking safety and supply chain planning, nothing moves. Reducing the carbon footprint is extremely important for today and tomorrow. Agreed. And then Tim says, post-COVID, a different business environment. COVID has revealed how logistics will have to change, how we manage land, sea, and air of logistics. I believe how we manage ports or any inbound freight would require a higher sensitivity to world health events. Excellent point. Okay.
Yeah, change is an everyday occurrence now. You can't just ignore it, and you have to plan for it. And that's why you need that diversity in the C-suite.
Yeah, agreed. And Richard agrees with you as well. Agreed. Diversity input is key to inclusion and success typically. Okay. So we're starting with a bang. That article, and that came to us via our friends at CSR Wire. We all love our lists, right? Top 3 lists, top 4 lists.
Yeah.
Kind of helps you navigate some big meaty topics. So that's a good one, Kevin. Let's see, where are we going? Let me get my clicker here, because up next we're going to be talking about what digital transformation might look like past in a post-COVID world. So Kevin, elaborate there.
All right. So a CIO put it this way. They said that CIOs are doing everything from before. They are just doing it 25% faster, and they're doing it from home, right? If you had a digital transformation strategy before COVID, you would have built an organizational culture that reacted faster to changes in markets, products, customer experience, and employee experience. In this case, you would have evolved relatively smoothly. But if you lacked such a digital experience, this means you're scrambling faster today to just try to get there. So most businesses really need to have a top-down review of the markets that they are targeting, what their customer needs are, the product, the service offerings, and the impacts of technology and data. Because that's what surviving in a post-COVID world means. Okay, you have to start with your customers and then consider your supply chain. How do you get those products and services through that supply chain to your customers?
Mm.
And part of that supply chain is your employees, right? This hybrid work environment will create a brand new digital divide between openness and very tight and closed organizations, the traditional way of doing businesses. So digital transformation really means embracing openness and leveraging the technology so that you can actually operate in this post-COVID hybrid world.
Yeah, I love that. Now, coming to you next, Greg, because you and Kevin both have been really thought leaders in digital transformation initiatives before it was called and coined, that phrase that we hear everywhere. So, Greg, what's some of the things you're thinking about?
It makes me think of something we've been saying for a while, which is if you built your house on sand and somehow survived, right, this flood, don't be foolish enough to do it again, right? Build it on stone. And so many companies that are hindered or limited by manual processes and paperwork and spreadsheets and and all of these things. I mean, that doesn't sound as strategic as what Kevin is talking about, but that's where the recognition occurs. Is you got pummeled because you didn't have the data, or you didn't have the data organized correctly, or you didn't have the data in a sustainable system, in a repeatable and deeply managed system, and it cost you. And companies need to be, and they were for a while, looking that direction and starting to commit to that direction. But I think this is a worthwhile reminder, because as we've talked to Laura Cesari, many companies have said they have digital transformation initiatives. Very few have actually really capitalized or even seriously planned for such a thing, right? And to date, it has been the realm of the largest companies, as our friend Luke Smile loves to tell us. From when he was at GE, they had a huge digital transformation initiative, and that's what he does as well. And it is still the biggest of the industrial complex that attack this problem. But it's a problem that is practical to attack as a even smaller mid-sized business. Probably even more important than it is for the large businesses, because they've got a bigger buffer if they're inefficient.
Yeah.
And Luke Small is a great person to follow, by the way, on social. We'll see if we can't drop his LinkedIn profile in the comments. But Greg, our church just sang that hymn a couple weeks ago. All other ground is sinking sand. It reminds me of that hymn every time you bring that up, Greg. Okay, so I want to also add, let's see here. I got a couple quick comments. One from Richard. We were talking about lists a moment ago. He uses a task list daily, washing hands at the top of the list. How about that? He also echoes some of what you both said, and especially Kevin. You got to put those people first. Sonia says global warming has impacted logistics everywhere. COVID has caused the cost of moving products from country to country, and probably increased the cost of moving products.
The cost, yeah.
Okay. So, Kevin, a final thought as we're talking about digital transformation in a post-COVID environment via really focus kind of on an article we found on CMS Wire. Any final thoughts there before we move to the next more fun topic?
I'm sorry about the
digital any final thought on digital transformation kind of in that post-COVID landscape before we move forward?
Well, really, as we've been talking about a lot, it's post-COVID is just a point of time, right? But what is going to remain with us is the need to change, the need to understand what's going on around you, observe what's going on around you, and listen to your ecosystem, your business ecosystem, your customers, your competitors that you may need to work with, and your employees, as well as your first, second, and third, and maybe even fourth level suppliers. It's about listening and responding to change.
That's right. Okay, so moving right along. Now we're gonna be talking about the digital restaurant transformation here momentarily, but we're gonna have a quick little sidebar because Greg and Kevin, few things bring people together as much as food and music. Now we'll save the music for a latter discussion, although we saw some interesting documentaries. Speaking of music over the weekend, we'll save that for the next show. But food, right? Now, Greg, we were doing our homework around Kevin, our due diligence, Hollywood star, and we
contacted your old boss at the NSA, and and he gave us everything. So buckle up, Kevin.
Oh God, I'm in trouble now.
Well, we're gonna save all the really juicy details for a podcast where we're gonna release all about Kevin L. Jackson down the road. But
there we go.
But for today, we hear you're a big fan of a nicely done steak and or prime rib. Those are two of your go-tos. Is that right?
Oh, you're hitting me in the heart right there. Exactly. I do love me a good steak or a good prime rib. And, you always try to think about, sometimes you think about food, what's your favorite food? And I have to say, steak, a nice medium thick steak is just right there. But then when you think about it more, is it the steak or is the fact that whenever you're eating steak, you're celebrating something? I mean, it's the context around the steak that seems to be so great to me.
Well, so and folks out there in the skyboxes, let us know what's your favorite steak, what's your favorite cut, where's been the best place you've ever had and enjoyed one, or to Kevin's point, what's been your favorite experience or celebration that you had enjoyed a good meal? But Kevin, two quick follow-up questions, and Greg, you're not getting out of this. I'm going to circle you next. Kevin, what's your favorite cut? And then is there a restaurant that comes to mind where you had it doesn't have to be the best one, but you had a really nice steak?
So I have to say T-bone. I just love me a T-bone. I mean, because it just seems to just hit it, right? A nice T-bone steak with a big loaded potato right next to it, and maybe some lobster or bisque.
Man,
goes with it.
Ooh, yeah.
When I think about a steak, that's it. But and as I said, it seems to me whenever I'm eating this nice meal, I'm celebrating something. The thing that really pops into my mind is it probably wasn't a great steak place, right? But I was going through flight training down in Pensacola, and it was one of those bad days, right? If you've heard me before, you said, you've heard me talk about swimming.
Yeah, I was going to say, was this your swimming lesson story?
It was horrible. I mean, I got through the academy barely by going to swimming sub squad, every afternoon. I made it through. But then I decided to fly airplanes. I had to do even more swimming, down in Pensacola. And my lifelong friend actually was he was the best man at my wedding, Admiral Johnson, Admiral Arthur Johnson. He and I were going through flight training at the same time, and we were same thing, struggling with swimming, right? And one, after we'd both failed one of the swimming tests down in Pensacola, we went out for dinner together, right? And we went to a place called Quincy's Steakhouse, and Pensacola. And I mean, great steak. It was good. But what was particular about this one is that we were both really down. Okay, because we said, "Oh God, we're going to flunk out of being a pilot because we can't swim." Okay, and then at that moment, he looked at me and said, "Kevin, you're not leaving here because I'm not going to let you. I'm going to kick your bleep if you ever think about quitting." Okay. And I said, Artie, same here. You're not leaving here. They're going to have to drag us away, before we would never quit. Right. So we both pushed each other and supported each other and what seemed like the bottom of our life. And we celebrated that by having a T-bone, having that steak, just celebrating a friendship and our future. And Admiral Don Johnson went on to become admiral in the Navy, and
wow,
about 15 years. And but that was it.
Yeah,
well, my favorite steak dinner ever.
Well, you're describing a new smash home run podcast, Conversations at Quincy's. Can you imagine all that we could cover?
That's true.
So, Greg, I want to come. We got a bunch of responses, and we'll tackle those here momentarily. But, Greg, I want to give you a little blast in the past because, of course, you're from Wichita. And I spent 2 years there with the Air Force, and Scotch and Sirloin, and this is from their website, is a well-known restaurant. I think there's other locations, but you'll see the original one in that picture there. And in my 2 years there, on enlisted salary, there was one meal I could afford to go there, and it was delicious. But Greg, what's your favorite, whether it's this or somewhere else?
So you're not going to believe this. I have never eaten at Scotch and Sirloin in Wichita, Kansas. I've never set foot inside the doors of the place. Can you believe that? I just never thought I could afford it when I lived there, and no one who would have paid on my behalf ever invited me. So I've never been to Scotch. So congratulations, I hear. But the best steak I've ever had, the best steak you will ever have in your life, was Peter Luger in New York. Bone-in, tomahawk. They slice it up and let you pick. Do you want the strip? Do you want the ribeye? Do you want the filet? Do you want whatever, right? In fact, it's making my mouth water now. But as far as sitting down to a steak, there's a place in Kansas City called Jess and Jim's. Not fancy at all. Paper tablecloths. But outstanding, just outstanding steak that my father turned on to me more than 2 decades ago.
Well, Kevin, there's a little rumor that goes like this. Greg and we went to a nice steakhouse in Atlanta, and I asked for A1, and Greg went and sat at the next table.
So it's my experience with steak is a little bit different than Kevin's. I mean, having grown up in Kansas, I definitely appreciate a good steak because I've had some really, really bad steaks. Because in Kansas, when I was a kid, you'd order a half of a cow and have it cut up into steaks and burgers and whatever else, and that's what you ate for the next year, right? So I've had a few steaks at home, in restaurants, and I really do appreciate a really good steak. And the place you and I went, Scott, McKendrick's, is an outstanding steak.
All right.
I had a similar experience when I lived in Kingsville, Texas. And anybody familiar with Texas? That's outside of the King Ranch.
Yeah.
So steak was cheaper than bologna in Kingsville. So, we couldn't afford chicken, but we could eat steak.
Yeah, they do that on purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. But you were talking about A1. You never put sauce on a good steak. But
Preach it.
I do have a pet peeve about that. If I do have to put sauce on a steak, Heinz 57. It's not A1. Oh, wow. Right?
I'm with you.
And you go to a steakhouse and can I have steak sauce? Well, A1. I don't want A1. I want Heinz 57. Oh, I have to stand up and leave. I mean, God, why is it so hard to get Heinz 57?
I don't know. I became addicted to A1 as a kid, and I could just about drink it in a cup with some ice cubes. But I can appreciate a good steak. I like a nice stiff, strong red wine cab with a steak, especially a really nice one. But
Shiraz.
all right, so I digress. I like Shiraz as well, Kevin. That's a great call too. We got a bunch of responses. I'm going to share a couple of these here, and I'm gonna try to shoot through these quick because we got so many of them. Richard is a big New York Strip fan. Andrea,
Kanya,
Kanya down in Mexico is the place to go. Rhonda, and hello, Dr. Rhonda says food is a beautiful social experience. I love that. Tim T-Boney says Big Tex in Amarillo, Texas is a place to go. Azalea, hello, Azalea, great to have you here. Says we have so many cultural connections to foods that allow us to commune. I love trying other foods from different places. I'm with you. Chris says Chandler's in Boise, Idaho. That's a new one for me.
I have to ask Mike. Oh my gosh, how did I forget his name? Mike from Gardner.
Oh, Griswold.
Griswold, thank you. I was thinking Kilgore. I don't know why I was thinking Kilgore.
Old Fred Tolbert, who is Greg.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
he is the Doc Holliday of supply chain.
Yes,
I'm your Huckleberry.
Aged ribeye at Hall's Chop House,
and he ain't lying either. That is an outstanding steak.
You know what? A team, please keep this list. We got to go through this. We're going to have a buzz at each one of these steakhouses.
I'm with you. I am with you. Let's see here. Mohib says Scotch and sirloin is the best. The taste is still in my mouth 20 years later. Fries are better.
Fries are better than McDonald's. Oh, he threw down the gauntlet, Scott.
He sure did.
Better than McDonald's?
Catherine is with us here. Catherine, hope this finds you well.
She's probably been there. Yeah.
You're talking Jess and Jim's. Got her really hungry.
I'm sure she can verify. Not fancy.
Right. Hans 57.
Right. Azalea, Hans 57 person. All right.
Nerfad says, I love my steaks like I like my supply chain now. Buzz Mondays in the early afternoon to start off my week. How about that?
Scott, we got to end this episode. I am starving now.
I am too.
I'm going straight to McKendrick.
And then one more here. Kyle says, Amarillo, tried to eat the big steak at the Big Texan. Couldn't get the sides finished. He's been going there since 1986. That's pretty cool. Okay, sorry I couldn't get all those there. Well, I better make Amanda happy. I'll get in trouble if I skip over this. She says, I don't miss my time in the Midwest much, but a prime rib from Misty's in Lincoln, Nebraska would hit the spot right now. One of the best places to go to experience a Friday night prior to a Huskers game.
Now that is an experience right there. A Friday night prior to Nebraska game. Whew.
Yes, that's right. All right, so a ton of other comments there. Food's one of those things. It just elicits. Everyone has these experiences, and it's something always a great topic to compare notes on. But
I'm hoping that somebody in Wichita heard me say that I have never been to Scotch, and so
did anybody say no that Greg has never been to Scotch?
Yeah.
We need to.
Just in case.
So I promise you, we've got more studious topics to talk through. We wanted to do a little food departure there, but Kevin, we're talking about this digital restaurant transformation and how it's not just all about delivery. So let's get back on the straight and narrow. Tell us more, Kevin.
We're not leaving food.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
But anyway, so let's put food and digital transformation together. My two favorite topics. So
I'm with you.
So as we've gone through COVID and we can't go out to the restaurant, we've all shifted to delivery to get your food delivered, and touchless and all that. You know that a lot of the restaurants had to do a major transition to digital, so that they could support remote ordering, delivery, and all that. And so when you look at digital restaurant transformation, takeout has to be part of it. And yes, 10% is takeout. But there is another big transition that you may not have noticed. And I actually saw it once I started traveling again. I've been on 2 trips so far. And when you go through the airports, all of the restaurants have tablets sitting on them. And you don't wait for wait staff to come and ask you, what would you like with the little pattern anymore. You sit down in front of them, you scan your boarding pass, and then they know who you are, what flight you're waiting for, and then the menu comes up and you pick. And if anything changes on your flight, it comes up on the screen, or your flight's been delayed, which I always get. But you order right there, and then the wait staff just comes. The first time you see a person is when they're delivering you your drink, and then they deliver your food. So what's happening is digital on premise is really growing fast. All right. And the other thing, when you're thinking about digital on premise, you think about just kiosk ordering. Like you go to McDonald's, your big screen, and you order stuff, and then they deliver it. Okay, that's cool. But QR code ordering is really taking off. All right. Guests scan from the table. They use the same front end experience of the web app or mobile platforms to place your order, to reorder, and to pay, and then and to pay when you're finished. And the servers, wait staff, come and bring food out, and it's really great. It's easy. I actually love it. So digital restaurant transformation in on premise is getting bigger than digitalization for takeout.
Yep. So, Greg, which of that resonates with you? I think the several times that Amanda and I have had a chance to go out and have a date night without the kids, it has been ordering straight off the phone, which has been neat to see. But Greg, what's your take here?
I can't believe it didn't happen before. I mean, not even just the advancements that Kevin's talking about, but just not a physical menu.
Yeah.
Right. You scan the QR code, the menu's on your mobile device, and there you are. That is, first of all, it's efficient for the restaurants and probably something that should have happened ages ago. But I've also experienced, Kevin, what you did as well in the airport, and strangely, that has been a long time coming in the States, because I experienced that almost a decade ago
overseas
in Europe.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Overseas in Europe and in Asia, both. You're right. Yeah. And, I think it's just sort of tradition that held us there. And what is it you say, Scott, about tradition? Peer pressure from dead people.
That's a good one.
I just stole that from Twitter.
But I didn't like that at first when you said it, but I really get it now. I think that it's good and it's really efficient, and it's especially now, guys, absolutely necessary, because people are staying away from work in droves, and particularly in the restaurant industry, though I have seen some reports that the tide is starting to turn. But I have a very good friend who runs a restaurant, my next door neighbor, and another very good friend who both run restaurants, and they are struggling right now. And any efficiency that they can get is hugely beneficial to them and absolutely necessary if they're going to be open with other human beings in the restaurant, which has been the case since May of 2020 here in Georgia. And now restaurants they would be at full capacity if they had enough staff to be able to serve everyone. Right. So
this reduces the staffing requirements, actually improves the service quality in on premise, but it gives you a digital link to your supply chain, right? Helps your service, and it helps you interact with your suppliers.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, So speaking of a couple quick points here. First off, folks, tip your servers and wait staff a little extra. I'll tell you, they are heroes in my book. What they're fighting through, and of course, especially if you have ever waited tables or bartended, you know how long those days can be and how small those tips can be sometimes. So y'all take care of them. But secondly, to Azalea's point, as she was talking about, sticky menus, IHOP, whatnot. So Waffle House, of course, is one of our favorites here. I can order without a menu, right? Patty melt plate on wheat, hold the mayo, extra pickles, and double hash browns. I've eaten that probably for 40 years. But the last time we were in a Waffle House was probably a month or two ago, maybe. I think we're coming back from Florida. And for the first time in my entire Waffle House experience, they did not have a bottle of Heinz 57. And it really stuck out for a moment. It stuck out for a moment because Waffle House, of course, they are a model of supply chain during challenging times and then some. And I can never recall one single instance where they are out of something. And as the server was letting me know, the manager, who was kind of on the grill at the time, turned around, was kind of sharing some other things that they've experienced for the first time in his career with Waffle House. So really, I tell you, we're fighting through these times for sure. But food and the supply chain behind it is one that we can all really love on and appreciate, right?
Well, and in Waffle House, one should appreciate two things: any opportunity not to touch anything in a Waffle House, and two, Heinz 57 for your steak, because it needs it.
Oh, goodness gracious. All right. So lots of fun we're having here today. It is, it's important to maintain that sense of humor during these challenging times. As we start to wind the show down, Kevin, I'll give you one last.
What?
Yeah, I hate to do it. But before I want to talk about both of y'all's respective series here at Supply Chain Now here momentarily. But lastly, Kevin, anything else to point out when it comes to digital restaurant transformation in this article via QSR?
Well, a lot of this is being driven by what? The customers, and being able to digitally interact with your customers, so that your customers know what the menu is before they get there. They may even be able to order immediately, so they don't have to wait. And so digitalization is improving the overall experience, the customer experience. So, digital transformation isn't hype, right? It isn't just a fad. Okay. It is real. It is the essence of modern business. And it should be it needs to be part of your post-COVID digital priority.
Excellent point. And all these experiences that have already been formal disciplines and some new experiences. Greg, you and I were being interviewed the other day, and we talked about the listener experience, right? And how, as digital content creators, how we got to really factor that very deliberately into what we do. So but I think that's a very welcome aspect of this transformation that is taking place across the industry right now. Okay, Catherine, I'm with you. Those White House, those Waffle House.
I think he might be Secret Service on the down low, Kevin.
Maybe the White House hash browns are good too, but I'm with you. Scattered always, Catherine. I just have mine plain with Tabasco. And Clay says smothered and peppered.
Okay.
And let's see. Azalea says,
is smothered onions? It's scattered. Smothered and covered. What's smothered and what's covered?
Amanda
smothered in cheese and covered with onions, or
yeah, cheese. Okay. And let's see, scattered, smothered, covered, chunked, diced, capped, and peppered. How about that?
Who is that? I don't see who that is.
Probably Jada. No,
I don't think so. Well,
I think we're all fans.
Waffle Houses are in Virginia now, right?
Oh, yeah. Definitely. And Catherine says covered is cheese.
Covered is cheese. So smothered is onions then.
Must be.
Woo.
All of it sounds great. You're just adding to my misery, my dietary.
Where are we going for lunch?
Misery.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about this before we do break for lunch. Kevin, amongst all these other projects that you're on, you also lead our Digital Transformers series with Kevin L. Jackson, sponsored by our friends at TNS. Thomas Carter and team are on the move. But what are a couple of highlights you'd like to offer folks here?
Yeah, so we're going to have Walmart on digital transformers, and they are a digital transformer. And one of the areas they're really focused on is inclusion and diversity. So we're going to talk about a new program that they have to increase and enhance the diversity of their executives and middle management. So we're going to do that later this month. And then in September, a new customer for digital transformers, Rate Links, is going to be on. So I'm really excited on both of those.
We are too. Digital Transformers, which is now can be found on its own independent RSS feed. So if y'all really dig digital transformation, you can find Digital Transformers wherever you get your podcast from. It's jumped out of the gate with a lot of accolades and warmly received by the marketplace. Kevin, I appreciate your good work there. Speaking of Rate Links, Greg, you just wrapped up a 2-part episode on Tequila Sunrise where you sat down with the president and I think the founder of Rate Links.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, Shannon Valancourt. Someone who saw the need for transparency and visibility in, more than 2 decades ago, Scott, and has been modeling that through his company since, I think, around the year 2000. And way, way ahead of the curve in terms of visibility. In fact, now that so many technology providers are finally talking about visibility, he's already talking about prescriptive analytics and taking that visibility and turning it into recommendations or even automated actions within the system. Wow. So it's incredibly, you're going to love the conversation, whoever you're having it with, Kevin. You're going to love the conversation because that culture, that drive, that customer focus goes through the entire team. Nate Endicott and Andrew and many, many more. Corey, the team at Rate Links are really good. Hey, but one more thing, Scott. Sorry. Who are you talking to, Kevin?
It's ingrained in Rate Links.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Culture starts at the top of a company, right? Whether it's intentional or unintentional. And Shannon is a mindful and analytical and yet very visionary person at the same time. That's a strange combination, but it works. And he's propagated that throughout the organization pretty well.
Yeah, agreed. Great call out there. Love what Tequila Sunrise got going on. I believe you're going to have, I'll let this cat out of the bag perhaps.
You're going there, aren't you? Yeah,
Colton
go ahead.
Griffin, co-founder and CEO of Flourish, is going to join Greg and the gang for Take Your Shot in a couple next week or in a couple weeks.
Yeah, Thursday, the 26th, August 26th. We're going to be talking 2 of my favorite topics: supply chain and weed. So,
Greg, you're on it today, baby. You're on it.
I wasted my youth not getting wasted, but still, I appreciate the finer points of whatever people get out of THC.
Thank you for sharing, Craig.
Yeah, yeah. Well, but it's really good, and it coincides with some activity that is really relevant to the lesson that you can learn by pitching your company in 3 minutes to our panel of judges, Robin Gregg, Enrique Alvarez, and Balaji Gopinath, all solid founders in their own right. And they will judge fairly and firmly the pitch of anyone who will come on the show. And we got smart this time, Scott. Just one team pitching.
That's good.
So,
that is good. Well, hey, speaking of series here, Kelly Barner's with us, back from the Cape. The Cape.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Dial P for procurement. That's right. Dial P for procurement. Our popular procurement-focused series here at Supply Chain Now is back at us 12 noon tomorrow. It's Tuesday, the 17th of August. So y'all join us for that. We've got a couple of great guests there. And speaking of this week, it's another busy week here at Supply Chain Now. We just confirmed through their agents, the president of Women in Manufacturing, Alice. I'm kidding with her agent. Very. It's nice,
but not kidding with the president.
Right. It's nice when we don't have to go through all those wonderful professionals, agents and PR teams. One-on-one's good, but so we have the president of the Women in Manufacturing organization, which is doing some really big things to power the modern age of the manufacturing industry. Allison, I might get the last name wrong, Grielis, I believe. So she's joining us this Thursday at 12 noon. And she's joined with one of our favorite manufacturing leaders, Allison Krejci-Giddens, president at Wintech, an aerospace manufacturer based here in Metro Atlanta. So join us. Oh, Allison's great, Greg. I tell you, as you and I both know, we got to introduce Allison to Kevin and Kelly, the whole gang.
Yeah, no doubt. In fact, now I know where I'm going to lunch. Since you mentioned Allison, I'm going to have to give her a shout.
What were you saying, Kevin?
It seems like every hour of the week is now filled with Supply Chain Now. I mean, hey. or is it Supply Chain Chow? I want to eat.
So,
yeah,
we should mention this. So, we love talking about food here to a person with this team. And one of the things we stood up a month or so ago is a Facebook group, open group, public group called Supply Chain Chow, where we invite folks to unplug from work and emails and headaches and pressures just to talk about food and celebrate the kindred spirits therein. So all of y'all are invited to join us. We'll probably have to steal this top 25 steak place list that we've generated and throw that on there.
I think we did get about 25, didn't we?
Oh, no doubt. All right. So let's make sure folks know how to connect with with both of y'all here. I think we've already dropped the Captivate link so folks can find your respective series and subscribe. But Kevin, how can they reach out to the one and only Kevin L. Jackson?
So yes, I'm on Twitter, Kevin_Jackson, or on LinkedIn. And of course on Digital Transformers. So please reach out, ask questions, give us your input and information, and tell us who you want to see on the show.
Love that.
Great idea.
And Greg, we don't routinely ask you, but if folks want to connect with you and get your thoughts on everything from weed and supply chain to founders and startups, how can folks?
Yeah, I do some serious business occasionally. You can reach me on LinkedIn, of course. I'm gonna drop an email out there, Greg@supplychainnow.com. If you are a startup, a supply chain startup specifically, you can reach me at kubera.vc, Greg@kubera.vc.
Wonderful. And as Dr. Rhonda Bumpenza Zimmerman says, what did you have for breakfast, Greg? You're on a roll today. And Richard says he rolled that one indeed. So, folks,
if only people knew how ironic that is, right? I'm like the most ironic entrepreneur in the cannabis industry, right?
Well,
didn't partake as a kid.
Industry on the move for sure, and especially as there become more and more medical applications that work. And many other reasons. So I appreciate the good work Flourish is doing. One final note before we wrap here today: heart, prayers, best wishes, you name it, go out to all the folks in Afghanistan, including the operators and the military professionals and diplomatic teams that are a part of the evacuation. Our thoughts and prayers with you. Godspeed, and we're going to get through the week together. But one final note, folks. Really appreciate you joining us here today. Thanks for all the great comments and being such kindred spirits as we kind of was a digital transformation and a food version of Supply Chain Buzz. Big thanks to my co-hosts Kevin L. Jackson and Greg White. Big thanks to the whole team behind the scenes, Amanda, Jada, Clay, Allie, you name it. Most importantly, folks, do good, give forward, be the change that's needed. And on that note, we'll see you next time right here at Supply Chain Now.